Losing your job is tough, like not just financially, but emotionally. I remember feeling like the ground had been pulled out from under me. But when you work a 9 to 5, you have this sense of structure, right? Like you know what's expected of you. And in some ways, ironically, your identity is somewhat tied to it. So when I got the news, I definitely felt lost. Like, who was I without that job? And what was I going to do next? There was a lot of fear. I remember waking up the next day, and for the first time in years, I didn't have a schedule. I didn't have a boss waiting for me to show up. It felt like I was drifting in like this strange empty space. And the worst part was that this little voice in my head was asking, was I not good enough? And did I fail somehow? The mental and emotional toll was heavy. Like I legit had days where I just felt like I was floating, not even sure of my purpose. I started questioning everything, my worth, my future, and whether I made the right decisions up until that very point. That's when I realized I needed something to help me get my mind right again. I had heard about the 75 hard challenge before, and honestly, I was a little skeptical at first. But after the layoff, I knew I needed something bigger than myself. Something that would push me to get out of my head and like back into action. Now, for those of you who do not know, 75 hard is a mental toughness challenge is what they call it. You have to complete 2 workouts a day, drink a gallon of water, read 10 pages of a nonfiction book, and follow a diet for 75 days straight. No cheat days, no excuses. Oh, and you still have to take like before pictures every day. It's a lot, right? Now, hear me out. It sounds intense. That's because it is. But trust me, it's also exactly what I need during this time. And I ain't gonna hold you. The first few days were rough. Like my body was sore. My mind was still filled with doubts. And I honestly wonder if I had made the right decision at that point. But ironically, as the days went on, I noticed something shifted. And it just wasn't about the physical workouts anymore. It was about the mental clarity that was starting to eventually kick in. And honestly, it's giving me that good feeling of wanting to get back into creating content and doing things for my business. I feel so much lighter. I feel so much more freer. Is that a word? I hope so. Overall, I say all this to say I am on day 30 and I can already feel a shift and it feels good. Maybe even like 2.5 weeks ago, I had this conversation with my boyfriend basically saying how I just didn't know what was next for me in my business. He was asking me like, what are your plans? And I legit told him, I don't know. And I had like a mental breakdown at that point. Because it sucks when you know that you love your business and you know what you need to do for it, but sometimes it's just hard doing it. And circumstances have changed. It's just a lot that I was dealing with at the time, but I'm so happy to be over that hump and realizing that like, girl, things are going to get better. Like they already are better. A scripture that has stuck out to me a lot lately is Luke 16:10. Just being faithful with little, like just reflect on that. Like being faithful in little is someone who will eventually be faithful in much. Like greater is coming, more things are coming, more better things are coming. So if you could just allow yourself to just be in this moment and appreciate what you have and appreciate the transitions and the things that you're going through right now with this little, you just wait and see how much greater God is going to elevate it and bring it for you. I just had to share that. This is not the end all be all, sis. This is just a part of your journey. This was supposed to happen. And let's be honest, it's going to make for a really great movie one day. Now, do not get me wrong. I've always had the dreams of turning my candle business into something better. But the layoff kind of forced me to take that leap sooner than I expected. Girl, running a business is hard. I mean, really hard. There are days where it just feels like everything has come together. And then there are days where it feels like nothing is working at all. But what I can say is that I've never felt more connected to my purpose. And there's always something incredibly rewarding about building something from the ground up and knowing that it's yours. Even on these very tough days, I remind myself that, girl, this is what you always wanted. It's just a lot more work and uncertainty than I expected, but I'm here and I'm making it. So that's all that matters, really. One of the biggest things I've learned during this whole process is how important it is to find comfort in the little things. Running a business and me spontaneously deciding to do 75 hard is definitely exhausting, both mentally and physically. So this is why I kind of decided to lean into small things, like daily rituals that help me stay grounded. I love my morning or afternoon matcha and my morning or afternoon coffee at home. I don't know, something about it just hit different. And nobody can beat me in making a bomb matcha. I'm sorry, that's just it. Like if you think about it, it's really an art. There's something about the calming process that really just soothes me. And I don't know, it's probably because I got low-key ADHD, but we're not going to get into that. Like literally watching it blend into the water, adding like the vanilla or the honey, like, it just really brings me some sort of peace. And honestly, green is my favorite color, so that's probably why. But these moments honestly bring me so much joy and allow me to just slow down, even if it's just for a few minutes. And you're probably thinking, girl, these little moments are small, who cares? But girl, honestly, they made such a huge difference in how I approach every day. But I tell you what, if there's one thing that I've learned through all of this, with the layoff, running my business, and 75 hard, is that life is really unpredictable. Plans will fall apart, but that doesn't mean everything is falling apart. And sometimes those moments of chaos are exactly what we need to grow. So if you're going through something similar, whether it's a layoff, you're running your business, or just life is throwing you curveballs, you need to remember that it's okay to feel overwhelmed. But also remember that you're stronger than you think. And sometimes the things that seem like they're such setbacks or challenges, they're really opportunities in disguise. And girl, I promise you, we are going to be all right. And like my homegirl Glorilla said, at the end of the day, well, it's gonna end.